Hi everyone! Today we're going to be making some Evil Eye granny squares, and by the end of this video we should all have our own Evil Eye granny square tote bags. For this project you're going to need some black cotton, some light blue cotton, some white cotton, a really pretty deep blue cotton, and I chose to have cream for the outside row for my bags, but you can choose whatever colour you would like. I'm also using a 4mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors which will come in very handy for this project, and finally I'll be using some stitch markers. For the first row we're going to be using our black cotton yarn, and you're going to start by doing a slip knot, and then you're going to chain 4 to start with, and once we've got those 4 chains you're going to slip stitch into that first chain just to make a ring. And once you've sorted that out you're going to do a chain to start with, and then you're going to do some half double crochets for this round. You're going to do a total of 12 for this round. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I am not obsessed with using black yarn just because it's so difficult to see the actual stitches, but it's really worth it for this project because it just gives a very authentic Evil Eye looking granny square. So it's definitely worth it. Definitely a good thing that we're not going to be using this black yarn for much longer because my crocheting is not aesthetically pleasing when I'm using black yarn. I look a little bit messy, even I can admit, but it's worth it because you end up with that good result after. Okay, once you have got those 12 half double crochet, we're going to be finally done with our first round. So we're going to do a slip stitch into that first half double crochet, and then we're just joining the start and the end of the round together. And once we've finally managed to do that, there we are, the second round's going to be a bit easier because we've done this first one. So you're going to do a chain to start with, a half double crochet into that first stitch, and then what you're going to do is you're going to do a chain, half double crochet into the next stitch, and then you're going to do a chain again, half double crochet into the next stitch. So you're just going to repeat that pattern for the rest of the row. It should be a lot easier to do because we've already done that first foundation round. So although we're still using that black yarn, it will be a lot easier. So you should have 12 half double crochets and then 12 chain spaces. Once you've done that, you'll do your final chain space and then you'll do a slip stitch into that first half double crochet you did. And that is all we're doing for the black for each of the granny squares. We're now moving on to a far friendlier colour, and we're going to be putting our yarn in the chain spaces. So if you attach it with a chain, and then you'll be doing a double crochet. Once that first one's done, we're going to do another double crochet into that same chain space. Then you're chaining 1 and just doing the same. So 2 double crochets in each of the chain spaces, and then you're going to have a chain between them. So 2 double crochet chain, another 2 double crochet into this next space, and then that's what we're going to do for the rest of the round. And once you've done your final lots of 2 double crochet, which is in this spot here, you're going to do your final chain, and then you're going to slip stitch into that first double crochet that you did right at the start of the round. And once you've done that, you're going to do your chain, pull your yarn through to fasten off, and we're going to be moving on to our next colour. We're on to our third colour now. We're starting with the white yarn, and we're going to be working into the chain spaces again. So chain to join and then work 3 double crochet this time into that space. Once you've done that, you're going to do a chain again, and then you're going to start to work another 3 double crochet into the next space. So each of the chain spaces that you're working into, you're doing 3 double crochet, and then you're working another chain and then going into the next space. This is going to feel a lot nicer and a lot easier to do with working with the white yarn in comparison to the black yarn for the first 2 rounds. So it's probably going to go a lot quicker than the initial rows for this pattern. once you've finished your final cluster of 3 double crochets, you'll do your final chain, and then you'll be doing a slip stitch into that first double crochet that you made at the start of the round, just to join it up from the start to the end. And once you've done that, you'll fasten your work off, and we'll be working onto our final colour for the evil eye detail of the square. We're now going to be working into the chain space again, but using our beautiful deep blue colour. You're going to join it through a chain, and then you're going to work 4 double crochet into this chain space. I absolutely love this yarn. I got it on TikTok Shop, and I just think it adds a really vibrant pop of colour compared to the rest of the colours. The black and the white can be a bit dull in comparison, so having a really vibrant colour in the pattern just really makes a difference, I think. Okay, and once those 4 double crochet are done, you're going to do 2 chains and then work 4 double crochet into the next space. You'll repeat that process, so 4 double crochets into the 1 chain space. You'll then chain 2 and then move on and work the next 4 double crochet into the next space. So you'll be doing that for the entire of this round. I think that you can already see here just how much prettier the pattern is looking, because the light blue is a gorgeous shade, but having the light blue with this deeper kind of electric royal blue as well just pairs up very, very nicely for the pattern. And because it was so bold, that's why I chose to go with the cream, just because I thought that it just worked up really nicely as that being the main feature of the pattern. So once this cluster of 4 is done, we're going to be doing our final chain 2, and then we're going to slip stitch with that first double crochet in that original cluster at the start of the round. To finish up this round, we're going to do a chain. We're going to cut our yarn off and just pull the rest of that yarn tail through to fasten off. And now we're going to be working with the cream to finish our granny square off. I'm going to attach in the 2 chain space, and what we're going to do is do our chain to attach, and then we're going to be doing 4 double crochet into this space. And then once you've done that, we're going to do 1 chain and work another 4 double crochet into the next 2 chain space. And then after you've done that, we're going to be starting our corner point. So we're going to do a same 1 chain after we do this cluster. But what you're going to do is you're going to do trebles in this corner now. So you're going to do 4 trebles, 2 chains, 4 trebles, all in that same space, and that's what creates the corner and then makes the square go from circular to square for these final rounds. The colour that you choose for these final rounds really isn't that important, so you can do whatever you want, but I personally wanted a slightly more natural and neutral tone, which is why I thought cream was a really good idea. But if you'd like bold or vibrant colours instead, then you completely can do that. You could even repeat the light blue which we did in the earlier row, that would look really pretty too. So once that corner is done, you'll do 1 chain and then do another cluster of 4 double crochet. So the row repeat for this is you do 2 clusters of 4 double crochet, you then do a corner which is 4 trebles, chain 2 4 trebles, and just repeat that process. And we're now in the last space, so the last space we're working to is the corner. So we're going to be doing 4 trebles, 2 chains, 4 trebles. And then after we have done that, we'll then just have to do 1 chain and then slip stitch into the first double crochet that we did at the start of the round. At this point, we do not have a lot left to do for our individual granny squares. There's just a really quick final round after, that's going to be in cream as well. But this is the really important round because it's the round that helps make our granny square square. So for this last bit, we're going to do our chain, we're going to do our slip stitch into the first double crochet. If I can manage. Who was I thinking that black yarn was going to be the only thing I had a problem with? Oh well, it won't take too long to get this bit done. Okay, we've got that first round sorted. So the first thing that we're going to do is admire the fact that it's now a square. We're going to chain one, and then we're going to be doing a half double crochet into every single stitch for this whole round. And the corner which has the chain to space, we're going to be doing 2 half double crochets into those spaces. So that is going to be the process of this entire round. And then once we have finished that off, that is our granny square completely done. And we'll need a total of 15 for them for this tote bag. I will point out that this row isn't absolutely essential because you have already made your Eagle Eye granny square into a square shape, but I think that having the row of half double crochet going around it at the end just makes it a little bit crisper and has a really pretty effect when you join all of the squares together. So it's completely optional, but I think it's worth spending that little bit of extra time to do that extra round right at the end. Dare I say this is probably going to be the easiest round for the granny squares just because of the colour of the yarn I'm using and the fact that it's just going to be repetitively doing a single half double crochet in each stitch and then 2 in the chain 2 space for the corners. So it's going to be quite monotonous work, but it's going to look extremely crisp when it's done, and then just make the rest of the squares all just look uniform compared to each other. Here is how it looks when it's finished, and I just love the finishing result for the square, and I've done that for all of these squares, so we've got 15 in total, and the next step is getting them joined together. Here is the layout that we're going to be using. It's important that the details that you want to have on the outside you put on the inside for this process. So I want that on the inside, so I fold it to have the outside showing. The reason for that is because we're going to be attaching the bag inside out. So you'll see the outside detailings here is what we want to have on the inside of the bag. So we're going to be joining the bag up with single crochet and then turning our work from inside out to the right way round after we have joined it all together. The first thing we're going to do now though is we're going to get some stitch markers just to join up the bag so we know where we're going to be working. Stitch markers are going to be your best friend for projects like this. I couldn't do my projects without it, and they're amazing because you basically use them to join the parts that you're going to have together when you crochet them. So right now I'm attaching them together at all the points that are going to be joined through the single crochet just to have that finished bag shape just in advance for when I know what parts I'm going to be single crocheting together. I've chosen to be extremely aesthetic and use some dark blue stitch markers to go with the dark blue in the bag. You don't have to do that, but I find it quite fun. And once you have joined them all together, you will get this result. You can see the defining shape of the bag a lot more this time. And then this is the inside of the bag once it's turned the right way around, and this will be the outside of the bag. So this is the neat side of the square. So the next thing we need to move on to is we'll be joining up the squares using single crochet. We will be crocheting all of the squares together except for the bit that we're having at the top open so the bag is functional. This next stage is going to be quite repetitive but worth it in the long run, so we're just going to be single crocheting our squares together. You could sew if you wanted to, but I am not confident in my sewing skills and I actually like how much more robust it is to actually single crochet your work together. But whatever you guys choose to do, it's absolutely fine. It's not going to change the overall design of the bag too much, but I'd always recommend that you should be doing your joining, whether it's sewing or single crochet, in the same colour as the outer rows for your squares, just so it blends in. So we're going to keep doing that. It is really monotonous. This is probably going to be the most time-consuming part of your project where you're not really feeling the results as you're making them, but it's going to be so nice when it's finished and looking like this. All of the squares have been joined and it's time to flip our work the right side round, so the inside, which is meant to be our outside, is finally going to be in view. And you will see that this side of the square was so much neater in comparison, so it just looks so pretty now that we've got the right side out on show. And this also means that we're nearly done with this tutorial. The next thing that we need to think about doing is working a strap. We're going to be doing one strap going across like this, and I've chosen to do the blue just because I want that one last pop of colour from that blue which we have in all of the granny squares. We're going to start off with our slip knots, and then we're going to chain a total of 10 times to begin. First, I really need to unravel some more of my cotton. That's a big theme which you guys aren't going to see as much in these tutorials. I do that a lot. Okay, so when we've decided we've got the thickness that we would like, we are going to chain an extra one and then skip that chain, and we're going to be working half double crochets in all of the chains, which means we're going to have a row of 10 double crochet. For me, that was a good amount of thickness. You may want slightly thicker straps, which is absolutely fine. That won't make too much of a difference. Another thing that you can decide which will make your project unique and completely your preference is you're going to choose how long you would like the strap to be for yourself. You can have it as long as you want, as short as you want. You could make it into a crossbody bag, just have it as a shoulder bag as I have with mine, but it doesn't really matter what you want to do. It's just making it a little bit more unique and adding just a little bit of a personal touch to your work. So this is going to be a slightly monotonous process again, but you're just going to be working up each of the rows until you get to that length that you want your strap to be. I'm really happy that I chose to have my strap in the really beautiful deep blue. I could have done it in cream and I was tempted to, but I did just recently do a floral granny square bag with this same cream and I chose to have that strap in cream. So I thought I'd go a little bit out of my comfort zone and have a really bold strap to go with a bold design. At this stage, you can definitely tell that I've been working on this strap for ages because the sun is now setting, but I have made a far longer strap. I've been working on it to make it the length that I would like, and I'm so happy with it so far. I just have a little bit left to do, and then I would have reached my desired length. And I've finally done it. I've done a total of 60 rows using this cotton yarn, and I'm really happy with how this length is. The next stage of this bag is attaching the straps. My strap is 10 stitches across, so I've marked up the top 10 stitches for either side of the bag, just so I'm making sure my work ends up even, so I recommend doing that as well. Make sure that your joining is on the inside because you're going to be doing single crochet if you're doing this pattern like me, and you don't want to have the bump of the stitches on the outside of the strap. So you'll be putting your hook through the body of the bag and the strap of the bag and then joining them together using single crochet, just going along those 10 stitches that you've marked up on the top of the bag and the 10 stitches on the actual strap of the bag. You'll be repeating this process on the other side of your bag when you join the other side of the strap onto that side. But then apart from that, that's pretty much the last stage of this bag, except for weaving in any of the loose ends that you may have. You guys should be able to race through the last few steps of this tutorial and these last few stitches because it's going to be a little bit easier to identify where you're going to be working into, and if you have marked up those 10 top stitches on your body of your bag like I have, I really recommend you do. It just means that you'll get your work done a lot faster and you won't have to worry about it being uneven. And we're now done with the first strap being attached. This is what it's going to look like from the outside of the bag, and it's just beautiful. So we're just going to repeat that for the other side. And now that we've done that, we literally just have to weave in some loose ends and then we're done. And we have done it! Hopefully you have a bag looking somewhat similar to mine by now. Thank you guys for sticking around and making your own Evil Eye Granny Square bag, and if you'd like to see more tutorials like this, then stay tuned and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you'll see some more of my videos soon.